All right, we're doing another one of those types of streams where I wouldn't call it about relationships, just kind of people in general and stuff they do that annoys me. Um, so a while back, I was talking to this one user who was saying, "Oh, are you going to run for Congress? Are you going to run for the House? Blah 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 blah." And I was flattered by that question because it's nice when someone realizes what I'm mainly into. But I tried to explain that one of the biggest things that kind of dissuades me from wanting to get involved in this stuff beyond commentating is that when you try to do a grassroots movement with a bunch of people who actively show themselves to not care about any election other than presidential ones, getting real supporters is literally the equivalent of looking for a needle in a haystack. So the way I would see it going is that, let me say a little envoy. I'd probably have for every like 300, 500 people, one person who's serious about doing this. You might say to yourself, well, isn't it worth getting that one person out of 500 or whatever? It's like the point is when you have to get with any election the most votes, it's a lot harder to do that when the people, for the most part, are not that engaged. Um, and this is exactly what I was saying when it came to the Patreon stuff. I said, look, I know that if I make that, I'm going to get at most maybe. I actually surprised myself. It was like two people instead of one. But I said I know the way people are. They don't go for things unless they're the hot attraction. So, for example, you're more likely to get, I don't know, 2 dozen more people to sub to or do the Patreon for, let's say, one of the bigger known commentators like TYT or Secular Talk, not because their stuff is really any better, because I watch anti TYT stuff get made every day, it seems. But because they're more in demand, that there's more people already there, so you want to be part of this bigger coalition of individuals. Um, but I said whenever you have a situation where it's one person having to do a lot of this stuff by themselves or just kind of fielding their way through this, it really does solidify why you have such a group of us who just say, yeah, man, a lot of this stuff is not going to change. A good example would be when I was talking about the YouTube views. I said that the biggest crux I have is a large group of people who don't really like me, but just like kind of what I say about the relationship stuff. So they'll come for one thing and then disappear for the next one, or whatever other topic I discuss. And I was saying that I'm not going to pretend as if that's stopping me from speaking about other things, but it is kind of annoying to an extent. Um, and it was really funny because I remember when I made the decision to, like regularly upload on YouTube. What was it, like 3 years ago? It was a while back now. There was a user who commented on my videos and like, oh yeah, if you watch our stuff, we'll give you a shout out if you win our contest. Whatever. I said to myself, and I actually did participate in it for maybe about a day or two. I said, you know what? If these people give me a shout out on their little their channel, what are the chances that first of all, what are the chances that I win? But secondly, what are the chances that you actually get people who are serious about watching the person that they advocated for's stuff? Effectively, what I'm saying is that when I thought about the best case scenario, it was me getting maybe a couple more subs, and then like the people don't even show up because they're only doing it to follow the orders of this other channel that they genuinely like. So I said between that and the fact that they want you to compete for that, screw it. And a lot of times people say, if you pass over opportunities and yada yada yada, you'll regret it and all this. But I just don't. Like I don't regret not wasting my time with that group. It's the same thing with the chick stuff. I can sit in some corner or some room for hours during the day and just be involved in something else and not feel like I'm missing anything. And that's because a lot of times when I try to explain that my interest in that group was always getting to know someone that actually made me feel, like that was a person I wanted to speak to or talk with. The more I thought about when I actually would interact with them, I would have to turn on these kind of, I don't want to say it's like a pattern of behavior where you read these advice books, you try to mince your words and not really say as much as you usually would. I said, that's not comfortable to me. Um, I remember a person who said something to the effect of, you have to act one way for the first 3 weeks or some random number they pull out of their behind. I said, look, this is kind of my point, that I can maybe tolerate that once or twice, pretending to be someone else and mincing my words and, trying to appeal to this person. But after the 30th or 40th time, I'm just going to say this whole process is uncomfortable and say, screw it. Um, and this is a position that, again, I was not initially in favor, because I did follow the belief that there's no way, if you talk to, just like the political stuff, right? There's no way if you share this dozens and dozens of times, not going to get any views. There's no way that if you talk to dozens and dozens of these people, you're not going to get somewhere with some of them. And I didn't see the results of talking with them as actually being worth the effort, because you got to understand, my mindset is that in the last, especially over the last 2 years, I don't live in la la land. That's why when I think about doing videos or just stuff where it's editing, I typically will weigh whether or not I think it'll get views or if it's like actually worth doing. So because I don't live in la la land and think I'm going to live forever, I actually see a person who I wasted 3 months talking to and didn't get the result I wanted as something that I shouldn't repeat for another 20 or 30 years. And that's kind of my point, that it seems like so many of these people are in this little weird sort of bubble where they don't really pay attention to things. They get away with it. They get away with not knowing about what their congressman's doing and all that wonderful stuff. But when you look at their way of reacting to this current landscape, right, where it's like you hear all day about Trump and everybody else is just kind of pushed to the back burner. Even the people who do influence these various actions in Congress that actually are your representatives, the people are the ones who have allowed this system to be in place, because if they went up to their local news networks and said, hey, we demand you cover our senator or whoever the hell else more, they would do it, because they wouldn't want to risk losing some plentiful number of viewers over something so simple as contacting a senator and letting them come on there and pretend like they're actually doing something for you. So, all this stuff is like, and I get envoys about getting ready to go to sleep, but all this stuff is just kind of indicative of, like why it feels like being in a slump. And I'm not talking about me saying, oh, I'm not going to bother doing content anymore and all that crap. I'm simply saying that it's like giving it your all, and all the people around you are kind of like sitting on the bench, like Bench Warmers, that movie. Where you sit, you kind of like, you make a video and then you have to share it as well, and then you have to in real life do the same kind of things with any other particular scenario. And it seems like the more I do stuff, people around me just kind of don't want to I guess show the same level of interest or just the same kind of passion toward doing it. And there's a lot of different songs and lyrics and stuff about how people can't do things on their own, but it kind of seems like that at this point, because I oftentimes would say with the chick stuff, you can't blame one person for why a relationship didn't work, or for why two people didn't get together, whatever the hell, because it's 50-50. There's two brains at work as to whether or not this thing actually starts. But I would see that over and over again from commentators on here, to where I can't take them seriously anymore, because you're really getting just the same kind of reaction no matter what you say. And that's what I'm talking about, where it feels like when I speak, it's just one ear out the other. And that's how the political stuff would be. If I went out and tried to work on someone's campaign, run for some office, I'd meet somebody, say, hey, this is why we need to elect me, whatever. Just make the case. Goes in one ear, out the other. It could even be the person disliking me, and just be them not caring. And that's kind of my point, that it seems like we so recurringly go around and try to like act like we don't want to believe that other people influence what happens to us. So we go out and we tell ourselves these lies that, oh man, if I just do this, this will happen. If I just speak to this many people, I can win this election, and all this stuff that is, whether we like it or not, and I don't, but it is reality, dependent on other people acquiescing to whatever we're trying to do. And it really sucks, because again, we try to get people to think that their willpower is going to be enough to save them or stop something from happening. But when there's other actions involved that you can't control, like how someone thinks of your positions, if you're running for office, or if someone actually finds you attractive enough to want to get with them or whatever, there's stuff involved that they don't they don't take into account. And I think they would if they paid attention. So we have a dead chat. Envoy's with his ex-wife right now. I don't know. I try to do content on here. I listen to a lot of different advice people. I'll make it longer, make it shorter, talk about this, talk about that. And I didn't want to be a one-trick pony. I don't have I have an account but not a server. I didn't want to come on here. I'm answering Jordan's question and only speak about this one thing day after day that you eventually get tired of. But that's kind of why it's a lot harder for me to feel bad, because when I did the news reports, for example, I would make it 10 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I love when it happens. Ruben, it's about people not paying attention to stuff. Just as the title says, I go between speaking about their lack of attention for the political stuff, their lack of attention for the relationship stuff, anything you can think of, because it's literally me realizing that so often we go out here and put all this effort into these things, and it fails because the people around us don't care. So I was saying that I had a YouTube commentator, for lack of a more wanting term, ask me, "Would you run for office?" I said, "Look, the problem with that is, unless you're running for president and you try to run for, let's say, a House seat, you go in that district, you talk to maybe 400, 500 different people. You watch what you say going one ear and out the other. You watch that person not even bother to take any kind of role with your campaign. I guarantee you, because most people don't seem to care about elections that are on the federal level. That's why it's so frustrating when I think about trying to get involved with this stuff locally or in that capacity, because there's too many people who just don't care. Like, I have a member of Congress right now, my representative, I think is absolutely is very lukewarm at best, meaning that they strike me based off their actions as someone that just wants to stay in office forever versus actually do something. That's why they might vote okay in some instances, but there's a lot left to be desired. But you can tell they don't want to ruffle feathers or do anything dynamic that actually is courageous. That's why I think these people are cowards. But we've been over this before. And I was saying the same thing with the channel. I was saying that you go out and you share this stuff because you expect, as the creator of it, to be the main one who cares about it. And when I would do that, yeah, whatever I share gets more views. But the point is, whatever I share is the only thing that gets more views. You don't see the same kind of trickle down effect toward other stuff that I might not share because I'm one person having to spread this for an hour or two a day on some other website. I don't know. It just feels like there's so much involved with this that I can't reasonably do it all on my own, and then so somehow I'm expected to. Like I said before, when we were discussing this and before Ruben came, that I've actually at different points tried to initiate what could be considered groups, not groups, but just kind of like chats that would get people to think about certain political topics that they usually wouldn't discuss. Kind of like how I sat this one person down and told him about, it was like a month after Trump got sworn in, but we discussed all the domestic issues, foreign issues, and I got their number. I called them, they didn't answer back. I've had other people that I've sat down with and told them, hey, we're bombing all these countries, yada yada yada. Goes in one ear and out the other. And what I mean by that is, if you actually speak to these people a second time, they act like what you told them didn't even happen. Not that they don't bring it up, but you'll see them like still talk the same way about the stuff they did before. That's why it feels so much like an empty, just that vacuum. Like I said, the people I can always expect to come are those. I don't know if you remember, Ruben, like different commentators that have the opposite position of mine, and they'll still come over here and watch this anyway and comment and tell you about all this stuff. Do you remember? That's literally the only person I can expect to always come. The detractor. I remember I did that stream that Saturday, or I think it was 2 Saturdays ago, and that was all because I saw one of my videos. I had one like on it that I knew was from me, and one dislike I knew that was from that same person. That I was like, how the hell do you have 2,000 subs and you can't even get anybody else to like it? Like, that's crazy. That was insane to me. I couldn't believe it. But again, that's why I said I live in the Twilight Zone. Like, I actually had a person who left some old screwed up, like I know it was them being a prick, but they left some comment about it was back in like June or July. No wonder you can't get with anyone. You're so negative because I said in the video that I would have rather had a subscriber number that was aggregate to the people who actively showed up for stuff. That was being negative, saying I just want the people who sub to actually watch the content. That's what I'm saying. I don't see myself as being able to really like reason with a lot of these people. That's why comments on these websites just seem so most of them just seem mean spirited and designed to screw with people. And again, it's like it's not even just because I expect when you get to a reasonable amount of popularity, you're gonna have people come in there and mess with you like with TYT. But like literally on a channel as small as this, you'll have someone crash it and say something stupid. Like, who are you? Where'd you come from? Can you go away? Thank you. Like, were you were all the big YouTubers busy that day? You had to come over here and try to mess with the person that is nowhere near their level. In terms of engagement on the site, admittedly. Like I couldn't understand it. They just come out of nowhere, and it's always someone you've never seen before that can't even because I've seen people be able to mess with someone in a clever way. It's literally just them say something stupid, they get tossed, come back with a different account next week. Like, man, go away. That's what I'm saying. That like when I make that plea, or if I say the same thing about people needing to pay attention to elections, it doesn't change. And it's not about doing it on the computer because, like I said before, I've tried this in real life where I sit people down and say, "Hey, this is what's going on," yada yada yada, offer a statistical, that stuff, and it just goes in one ear and out the other. And that's why when I was talking to that user that recommended that, I said the problem is always going to be the people around me have to decide to care about this stuff, because if people didn't watch this, I wouldn't get any views. If people don't pay attention to the election, they might vote for the same person I'm trying to get rid of. So it's just one of those things where you're constantly backed into a corner. And look, it's none of it is where you go, oh my God, I'm so done with do you think the rate of change of things in politics anything to do with it? Do you mean change as in the new people that have been elected, or people being pissed at the other side a whole bunch, or what? I just want to clarify. Make sure I understand what you're saying. I always hate waiting for someone to respond because it's just me staring at the camera, and just anytime you replay that, it just looks kind of strange. But going back to the chick thing, I said before, I don't behoove people who still go out and bother with that stuff. I think that anyone who wants to, in their head, think they have a chance of doing this, I welcome them. But I have said before, I don't think that when it doesn't work out, and from this, VVS's channel blowing up, you should be able to tell that in a lot of instances it doesn't. You should feel bad about yourself because of that. Because if you go out and you feel confident of who you are, and the person doesn't reciprocate, what else can you do? Like I've tried to explain this before, that attraction between both genders really isn't that, and I'll get to your comment in a minute. It really isn't that different because, I've had at least two different chicks online when they saw my picture, after me on some dating website, instantly stopped responding to me. I had one that when I saw her picture, it was ironic because it was a person who said she doesn't eat that much, and then you can like it's a like a headshot, right? And dude, we've been over this before. I'm not attracted to people that I'm just gonna say it. I'm not, that doesn't float my boat. But you can look at her face with the like stuff coming down and tell that's someone who is overweight. And instantly when I saw that picture, I stopped saying anything to her. And I'm not bringing it up to make fun of her, because if I did, if I actually wanted to make fun of her, I would show her a picture. But I'm bringing it up to say we know who we'd want to get with when we see them. That's why all this stuff about, oh, Cleo, if you just wear these new shoes, and talks like this and just finally forget about your grit. All of it's gonna change. Oh no, I said before, I don't think I'm unattractive. I'm sorry. I bet there are. I know there are loads and loads of people who do. But I don't. Just that's my opinion. Okay, you're right. I just got blindsided by a lot of what's going on sometimes, but I might be in the minority. Um, I mean, the stuff now doesn't surprise me. Like again, when I made the Patreon, I knew we'd only get one or two people to actually go through with it, and the only reason I even did it was because YouTube was screwing with me that 1 week. But with the chick stuff, for example, I kept telling people this stuff isn't going to change because a year passes or I stop talking to them or they stop speaking to me. I said, look, this is something that requires an internal thing and that other, because look, my argument has always been most of the guys, if they were approached by some chick that said, hey, let's screw, would probably do it. So that tells you the other side has to have some kind of thing happen with them where they go, yeah, I'm not going to, hold you to some ridiculous standard where if I don't get all of what I want, you can go screw yourself. They will say it's all about I use now, I can't even get, I don't want to. I mean, okay. Hey, I see through their rhetoric as well. I just tell people that if you think it works, do it. But don't come over here and tell me that I'm the villain for saying, I'm personally done with it. Because I think that's a fair response, right? You can do what you want, I can do what I want. I would hope. I had this one joke that people that like a lot of the people who are going around trying to, talk crap because you won't do what they do are trying to turn the US into the Soviet Union, where everybody has to act the same, dress the same, look the same, feel the same. I notice people often conflate confidence with intelligence. Well, that's kind of my point that, I told this person, you sit here and you wait for them all day to answer their phone after they say they'll speak to you this day. I gave you all this of my time, blah, 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 blah. And then they construed it. They try to frame it as if you think you're entitled to me. Yeah. Like, no one said anything about any of that. It's me simply bringing up that you said you're going to do this today. Yeah, we don't need any YouTube superstars in there. You can go back to your account with all of your fans. Go sign some autographs down the street. We don't need you here. Referring to our last commentator who remained anonymous. Who's going to disappear right after I say something political? I mean, it's all tied together. People don't want to believe me. They think I just magically became interested in this one thing, and then while being interested in that, had this stuff with these chicks keep blowing up over and over again, metaphorically, of course, because that whenever you talk about relationships or any of that crap, people instantly think when you use phrases like blow up, rather than talking about something, like just imploding in your face metaphorically, you mean, like a terrorist attack or some nonsense. That's the funniest thing in the world. I can say whatever I want in a political video, and I'll get like no kind of pushback, even if it does get views. But then if I say something like, there's a consequence to what these chicks did, people instantly think, oh my God, what are the bomb shelter? That person's gonna do something. Like, no, the consequence is me leaving them alone. But I can't even say that because, or rather, I have to outright state every single thing and not leave any word for interpretation or, critical thinking, because people turn off to critical thinking when it comes to this topic. You say a little load. Give him a greeting. I haven't seen Cleo in a long time. I thought he settled down and got married and divorced and put on child support, and then married to somebody that was even more attractive, and then divorced and then put on child support, and then married to somebody that was even more attractive. He just kept going up, and a little period of being down and up and down and up and down. I really wish I could play I could show some of these. That's why I hate that Google Hangouts isn't working anymore, because I could then show screenshots of stuff that I'm talking, because there's so much stuff I left out of that. What was that video? The like why romance is a scam one. Like there were like 3 or 4 different people that didn't even make it to the final cut of that. And that was only because I just got tired. I was like, man, I've been watching this thing for an hour. I'm good. Screw that. I think Load was tied up in some Republican's basement. That's where he went. You won't support single payer while being in my city. That's why he didn't show up for all those streams. Like, where the hell did he go? You're just one and done. He's here for the climate one. That's it. He's like, call me again when the EPA administrator does something stupid. That's when I'll make another response. Well, it'd be funny if I actually like did a decoration thing where there's like some climate change related topic, and so I get like a chair that has like my name on the back of it, and I'm filming from my backside, right? That has my name on the back of it. Another one that has Load's name on the back. I'm like, we're waiting for Load, the other major proponent of climate change in this channel. We're waiting for him to show up and weigh in. And then like we're an hour into, so like, Load, are you there? I think you're looking too much into this and just looking yourself down. I don't get it. It is simply my observation. Well, I said it before. I don't think I'm unattractive. I don't think like a lot of the reception I get over, appearing to have some high confidence or whatever is in return to other people saying nasty stuff about me. So that's just my position. But I was saying earlier in the stream that when I was talking about how you go out and you talk to these people about something political, right? And you always try to use the excuse of not, to insult them, but just kind of, you get that they can't pay as much attention to you as to this as you because of, some scenario that's specific to them. But when you mention something to them and you say, hey, look, this is what's happening, one ear, out the other. It was the same thing with the chick stuff. When I would explain to older adults, hey, I get that in your heyday you could go down the street and talk to somebody and yada yada yada, but in this current era, a lot of people have to compete with people off of social media that, a lot of these chicks have now have found themselves with more power because they can go around and be really selective with who they talk to or even associate with in the slightest degree. One ear, out the other. It's quite that the life issue you're politically are taking too much of it, like you're too much in your head or something. Well, that's kind of my thing, that I try to joke about it and make fun of it because they're it's not something that I really I'm done feeling bad about. Basically, I just hate that we still have people on these platforms that like actually in a serious manner think, yeah, if you just do these things, all this stuff can change. Like I still to this day will get comments from people, oh, talk about this and watch the channel blow up. Like, dude, we've discussed all kind of stuff and we've stayed the same. And really what's funny is that as I bring that up, I would honestly say whether this channel gets a couple of people to watch it or almost nobody, it's still the least impactful thing out of all the other stuff I described. Well, yeah, the people around you are. That's what I'm saying. That like we oftentimes try to claim that people who are depressed or are in some kind of disillusion have a mental problem or whatever. And I remember VVS had some video where he was talking about that. Like having somebody come over to his channel and go that there's something wrong with you because of the chick stuff, just because he would talk about it in like a really, like the same way I would, like a disillusioned kind of manner. But that's my point, that like the environment is so toxic and you can't like actually get, it's like just navigate. It's like, what do I compare it to? It's like having a surfboard and like the sea is just made of feces, like just straight up crap, right? And you have to put this surfboard down in this crap and ride the waves of the crap. You're not enjoying it. You think it's gross. You think it's really disgusting. You're just putting up with it. You're trying to make it by. And remember, the stuff they say to VVS is even weirder because they don't even know what he looks like. I mean, I do like the idea, admittedly, of being a person who some people see of as attractive, and then not actually thinking that that person who is attractive has something wrong with them you can see off of a video, and like it makes the chick's decisions even weirder. It's like if you had some supermodel that came on here and she was like, I can't get a date. I I don't understand. I have all this money and I live in this nice home and I go and I get attention and people just won't show me any like it's that same kind of thing. What the hell is wrong with you? Don't know anything about me, but I have all the answers on my stuff. That's what I'm saying. That like these people that go and do these like different comments have this they to quote the late Bush 41, they have a window into your soul. They know how you feel, they know what you're gonna do, they know what you have to do to change everything. Like man, you guys should go become what they call those mind readers, those psychics. They should become those from what stuff they type on here. Has given immense capability to treat men as disposable. On the other hand, the real world are still different places of being. Well, here's my thing. Like, I completely understand the fact that there is a group of people who are not that active on the internet. My problem is the fact that it seems if every chick I can think of that I either went to school with, met some other place, any one of them, they're all on social media and they're all posting these pictures that get dozens and in some cases hundreds of likes by dudes going to the point where I don't see myself as being able to compete with all these people, especially when the stuff is so intertwined. Like, load, you can go to a library right now, you can meet some woman, and you go, oh man, this is so great, real life, no internet crap, no, I wonder what you look like behind this little cute picture that you have up here. And then literally, you talk to her for maybe a week or two, and what do you know? You find out she's on social media, getting hollered at by guys on the West and East Coast and in Europe and France and all these other places. Like, man, my whole chance of getting with this person just crumbles before my very eye. And you'll have someone who in your life will say, oh, don't be so negative, don't give up. She probably doesn't pay attention to any of those guys. But you can look at the way that those people are being treated to just kind of conclude like what's going to make me stand out. Basically, I did not see. I saw the title. I didn't see it on VBS. Ruben says, "Story of my life." What's the story of your life? Let me read Lode's comment. I think truly that the best thing is to ignore the social media aspect. Well, that's kind of my thing. My main places of using social media are here and Twitter. And sometimes I'll post on Instagram news and all that. But my point is, whenever I use these sites, I don't look for any of this crap. I don't look for couples. I don't look for the little stupid, hi baby, hi baby. None of that crap. I just completely ignore it. It's like that's why I was saying that the channel and me and pretty much every other website is just in its own little bubble that stays by itself, and then you still have to put up with these people because you either know them in real life or you have someone that's trying to push you in some manner. Okay, let me see. Did you see the recent? Oh, I'm trying to get the. You guys are typing a little bit too much. You don't know it, but because you have woken up. I just chalk it up to living in the Twilight Zone. Everything's backwards. I've had to deal with similar problems as well, both online and offline. Yeah. Well, let me see if I can type the this thing in here. No, I completely agree. I hate white knights. Envoy says both have been affected. You get the white knight who aren't good because they have ulterior motives. Everyone wants to blame. Nah. Well, like I said before, I don't have any qualms in my mind that both sides have contributed to this, but that's kind of my point, that I don't like see a difference in the, like, how to explain this. I brought up earlier in the stream that you're not going to live forever. That's why when I watch like a lot of the people who still leave stuff to VBS or to myself, like, go away. You're wasting your life. You're wasting your time. You're talking to someone that, like, literally stopped talking to these chicks because they said to themselves, I'm not getting any younger. I'm not getting any more interested in these people. They've already, wasted my time. So, like, I don't understand why we feel this weird need to position ourselves as like being this, like they're your savior. I'm gonna tell you something you've never heard of before, and then stuff is gonna change. Like, hey, go away. That's why I did the stream about being aware of your own insignificance. Like, I completely understand that when I go on these forums and I read all this stuff about how stupid my political views are and blah 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 blah, that if I talk to these people, they're gonna leave that conversation the exact way they came into it, with the same perspective, and that my position does not matter to them whatsoever. And I'm pretty fine with that because it's not my job to make someone see something they refuse to see. Are free to do whatever they, even though records show less happy and is on the rise. Yeah. Let me go back to some comments somebody wrote. I think I'm missing. But that's kind of my thing, that when I was, going back to Envoy's earlier comments, none of this is about feeling bad about me. It's just feeling bad about this scenario. Like, I wish this stuff would end. I wish you could go up to people and tell them, articulate them, which I'm able to do, but the response back would actually be something that is them remembering what I said and then trying to play some small role in their community and trying to fix it, with this political stuff. But when you talk to them, and these are people who oftentimes don't really share your views on stuff, but even then don't oppose it necessarily, right out, never hear from again. Same thing with the chick stuff. It's fun to pretend to be someone that you aren't for the first 5 or 6 of them, but when it happens year after year with dozens of people, you just have to pull the plug on that stuff. Oh, well, again, I'm simply saying that when you have a large issue, because the US has millions of people, that if the millions of people who live there coalesce, they can change it, but they don't want to do that. And sometimes I chalk it up to them not being aware that it's there, which is why I try to talk to some of them and I get the same result. And I always think those interactions are a lot more intimate than having like a stream, because it's just you talking to that one person and you still get the same thing you would get here. Except in that instance, they don't have the option of pressing a button and stopping me from speaking. So I guess that's the one benefit or perk of this whole scenario. But I hope that cleared up that position, Envoy. I'm not disillusioned with me. I'm disillusioned with a lot of the stuff around me, because it is people just not caring. I think it's due to the fact that the media is so dishonest. We see injustice every day. People are going back and forth on that whole. Man, I will not discuss that here. That has been too. It's like what I love is that we have these actors who are really talented, right? And they get no coverage by the media. They get just nothing. But then if one of them does something stupid or evil, like in that instance, names plastered all over the screen. Fox is talking about him. MSNBC is talking about. CNN's talking about everywhere. Like, look, you guys weren't discussing him before he did something evil. Desensitization, Ruben. Every time they just do something evil, and then you'll get the attention. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, VVS. Now, imagine if I came on here and I said, I am a person who has drugged people in the past. You would instantly have everyone like lose their minds. I get reported, all this stuff. But because a woman, get away with it. Don't want to talk about it either. It's just so annoying. Yeah. Media pays some attention to him. The fruits of feminism. Of course not. She's the queen. Not to mention, talk to her like she's Jesus. Take to her like she's Jesus, the Messiah. So it's weird. Every time there's a singer that gets propped up, it's like the more I dislike them. Like there's so few singers I like who are just at the center of attention. You know, just like in the limelight, spotlight. I thought that was interesting because it means that I guess I'm more drawn to people who don't have an excessive, and I still don't think that dissuades me from acknowledging they did a good enough or good or bad song. Um, Personally, don't get it. We let someone like be a role model. Man, I want to play that song, but I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm gonna keep that over there. I know so many who are completely and just utter alone, yet no one that talks about it. If talk about it, they get shouted down and called. But that's my point. That it's like the new Red Scare, where they use this, they weaponize this term with no definitive meaning, and then get surprised when people don't want to talk to them or acquiesce to them. So it shouldn't shock you that they're not really winning out that much. But you can't bite the hand that feeds you. You can't tell the same people that you want to give this group attention. You're horrible, you're terrible, blah 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 blah. And that's what I got. And I said, okay, well, if I'm so bad, why do you need me? Why do you care if I speak to any of them again? Shouldn't you be happy? Shouldn't you be throwing a party? You would think. Some of these say they want to get rid of and should be sensitive. They keep it real. I think that's funny because, like, if you come on here and just say, "Hey, I've had a problem with this," you're not going, "Oh my God, nobody likes me." Wait, you're just saying, "Hey, this was an issue." You get condemned and attacked by people who don't even know you. That's my point. That like, think about how insane this is. No, I guess I spoke to one recently, but that still is kind of like not actually. It's one of those things where I wouldn't, if the person wanted it to be romantic, I wouldn't object, but it wasn't supposed to. It wasn't for that purpose. So, if that answers the question, Elliot. But yeah, going back to what Envoy was saying, isn't it ironic that the same people who you're supposed to be intimate with in this physical manner, right? Because everybody likes to make fun of people for being virgins and ha 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 ha, you can't get any and all this crap. That if we're really honest about it, having sex one of the easiest things in the world. You can go to Vegas, um, and again, no one's bragging about that, but let's not pretend as if it's this so difficult thing to acquire. But it's funny how the same group of people you're supposed to be intimate with, what do you see when you actually? Well, I mean, it's true. That's where it's legal. But what do you see when you actually watch the advice that's being given to people who still talk to them? Don't be who you are. Act this way. Yada yada yada. It's like, well, then douchebag. Why am I even talking to this person if I have to pretend to be a way and therefore mask who I actually am until they are in the bed or whatever? How is this any more easier than it is to just get a hooker? And like, oh my God, how could you degrade? Well, like, you guys degrade yourself. You're over here telling me what way I must act to speak to any of you like you're all the same. So, like, you're all the same, not that you're all the same. They also love to assume that, oh, you can't, yeah, oh yeah, like all these little weird observations. But Envoy, do you get my point any better than how it started? That this isn't about being depressed or disillusioned with oneself, but rather just kind of tired of a group of people, like just those who are around you, basically. Maybe you understand. I don't know. Commentary and people around it. I understand. Yeah, because like I said before, I don't live in a bubble, so I still have to put up with these individuals, even if I don't talk to them on any regular basis. It's it's disillusioning, but it doesn't tempt me to just say screw all of it and quit and all this stuff, because I literally think the only benefit is the fact that I truly believe a lot of the stuff I do, I would not see value to it if everyone else was doing it. So it's like, because all of you are so terrible, not people in the stream, but just like, in general, you have to put up with this to kind of get your point across. Okay, Load says they want you to change yourself for these, but these would put all kind of if the guy looks. Oh yeah. I don't understand either. They don't get the double standard. But look, I want this YouTube superstar to leave. He doesn't need to be here. He's already blown up. He doesn't need to swipe anybody else. He came in here to cost. It's almost like going into a poverty-stricken neighborhood wearing like a gold suit. you came here to gloat without saying anything. That's what he's doing right now. He needs to go down the street, sign some autographs, maybe get his footprint put like have a. I heard they're having a ceremony naming his hometown after him tomorrow. That's an unsubstantiated rumor. I'm not sure. I really hope Envoy can tell that's satirical. He can, and he's not even a regular member of the chat anymore. He just said, "All right, I'm out of here." Anyways, respond to Elliot's comment. Let me see if I can find. I always forget my account's name. It's like some series of numbers and letters. Hold on a second. Warren, we talk about the news on there. It's not like these other people's pages where they're showing their behinds and trying to get somebody all caught up. Forgotten about. On to the next. That's my point. Like anything that's trending in the news, people remember. Anything that isn't, people don't even. Just like, for example, I've asked like several dozen people who was Trump's first Supreme Court justice. The first one he nominated and that got confirmed by the Senate. They don't even remember. That was the year before. And I remember when that happened, it was a big deal because he announced it by like the end of, I think it was his second week. It was really early on in his tenure. And then like for the next 2 months, I was hearing about how horrible this pick was, and everybody was like, "Yeah, they're gonna get confirmed anyway." It's still getting harassed by troll. Oh yeah, they won't leave her alone. Like, we're not letting you get away with that one. No, that what I know, Ruben. I'm saying that like the fact that was only a year before should show you how much people don't care. Because remember, they tell me that people suddenly became interested. It's all right. I'm not mad at you. Just people suddenly became interested when Trump got elected, and then you can't even remember the Supreme Court pick that he first put there. Well, if she was lying, she deserves it, I guess. But you have to ask yourself if this was like one of these modern era singers or something. Do you really think they would get people asking if like they would do this? I guarantee you, if some singer or some modern era person was accused of this stuff, everybody would forget about it, because that's how they are. They're onto this one thing this week, off it next week, onto something else. The line between seems extremely dubious. Yeah, man, I keep trying to explain that when you live in a society where people will literally believe you molested someone because of what somebody said, and the fact that it's like 10 people saying it, like, not again, no proof, but just the number of people, that by itself is all you need to know about how screwed and warped the minds are of these present people. That should tell you right there. You don't need any more explanation from me. How to deal with these days? Are they in the same boat, or do they have different experiences? It's the same thing. That like, oh my God, why do you think I came on here? I said before that what made me realize how insane this stuff with these chicks were was the fact that I had two colleagues who, one of whom I know my entire life, the other one I didn't know for that long, um, who had the exact same experience as me. And that's why every time people come over to the channel and they go, "Oh my God, you look this way," yada yada yada, bump, 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 bump. Like, look, you're talking about me, but you're not talking about like you don't know my friend. You don't. He doesn't make streams, so why is he having the same trouble if the YouTube stuff is supposedly so damaging to what you could be if you would? If I don't buy it, like, there's this whole aspect of the people around me that people on here don't even know about, and that like the in particular those types of commentators, and they'll still say it anyway. So all I can say is it just gives me more validation when I see more and more people experiencing, which is already what happens here. It's like everybody in there was just ugly and didn't know how to talk to women and was shy and all the other stupid words and phrases and terms they come up with to describe this stuff. Look at the case from a while back. Uh, Jesus, this every time this relationship stuff comes, just completely absorbs the topic. Wow. Anyways, I hope you understood what I was trying to say. I am tired of being surrounded by people who just they don't really try much of anything. Like I've had voice actors who all they have to do is record some lines on a piece of paper. Won't do that. I've had people I've sat down with and I've said, look, I'll explain this to you. You don't have to say anything. You're just, if you have questions, I'll answer it. You tell it to them. By the next time you see them, they completely have forgotten about it. Chicks, you talk to them for a while. They by next week, 2 weeks later, they were with some dude. I remember there was this one chick when I was in. It was like late high school. It must have been like the last 3 or 4 months of me being in like 12th grade. And I remember I met her on online, and she was like, the whole thing was that we both lived in the same kind of area, like in California, but in the same part of the state. And I said, hey, we should encounter each other in person, whenever you're back over here. And she's like, oh, I would like to eventually meet you, but I'm kind of doing something. Like, oh, what is it? Oh, I'm going to go see my guy. Like, what the hell? Why were you? Like, if you were with this dude, why were you posting some crap about who you wanted to get to know on, like, that's why all that online stuff with the chicks posting, who they like get, like when they put up the little ads or whatever, like, hey, come talk to me and we can discuss yada yada. There's a guy who said every time you see a woman do that, you know that there's something wrong with her, like, because they have such an easier time. The fact that they have to actually post that, and the fact that I can name multiple instances where they've posted that and then later been revealed to be with someone when they didn't mention that at all in their post, is again all you need to know to be aware that they're rotten to the core. Like, just, oh my God. That's why I said that, like, if you remember that one video I did where it's called Tired, and it's like the hamster on the Ferris wheel. That's how I feel with this stuff. Like, I'm just on this Ferris wheel, doing my thing. Somebody says something dumb online, all right, we let it happen. I'm just, someone says something dumb about some political in real life or online, okay, we just let it happen. Someone says something dumb about the chick stuff, all right, we just let it happen. But again, because you actually age and eventually will die, you know that stuff is not going to last forever. It just seems like it's going to last the entire time you're around. Like, where after I'm done with this and have the pass or whatever, my friend will still be stuck with it. So yeah, that kind of stuff does actually disappoint me a little bit, but it is what it is. I constantly just focus on and everything else. It's like a whole little dispute going on in the comment section. Wow. Anyways, thank you for participating. We're cutting this short because VVS has to go sign some autographs. I'll probably discuss something. I'll probably put up a video tomorrow. I don't even why even bother with a stream. It's just gonna get turned into the relationship movie. Oh, they always do that whenever it's like a whole bunch of people. That's what happens. Yeah, he has to go hit the red carpet and put on his fur coat and get what's some other reward? Go attend a state dinner at the White House. I'm glad Load came back. I was so worried that he was tied up in some basement somewhere. So I'm very happy to see him. We put his face on the milk carton. It did us no good. We couldn't locate him until he returned. So I appreciate it. I'm glad Ruben showed up. I don't want to do like the whole name thing, but I'm very satisfied with the turnout. I was not expecting that when the stream started. I was like, man, is anybody consider this gonna be a ghost town? We can end this early. So I appreciate it. Have a good day.